Hello dear boys, how are you all? I hope and believe that all of you are doing fine by the grace of God. This is your Simi Miss warmly welcoming you all to this virtual presentation brought to you by this St. Gregory's Facebook group. In our previous lesson, we have been discussing about right form of verbs. In this lesson also, we will be discussing the same topic. Dear boys, if you ask me, exactly how many rules do we need to learn as the part of right form of verbs? There is no specific answer of this question. I will tell you one thing, each and every rules we have in our English second paper, all things are included in right form of verbs. I mean, if we want to correct the form of verbs, then we have to go through each and every rules of our grammatical part. So dear boys, we will be very attentive in our lesson and we will try our best to practice the rules as many as we can as the part of a right form of verbs. So dear boys, now let's move to our lesson. So in our previous lesson we have discussed up to rule number 10. Today we will start by rule number 11. So these rules are very easy actually. You know each and every rules. Just take this class as we are practicing together. If we have to have verb in our sentence, then we have to write down V3. I mean past participle form of the verb. For example, Nabil denied having said this. So we are instructed to write down the V3 form of verb. Nabil denied having said this. Okay. Having do the job, I came home. So here we have having. So we have to write down past participle form of verb. Having done the job, I came home. You see another thing here we have to be. Here also we have to write down V3 form of verb. Okay? The work is to be do in winter. The work is to be done in winter. Okay? So now this is rule number 12. If we have two sentences joined by before, the first part will be written in past perfect tense and the second part will be written in past indefinite tense. So dear boys, let's try to write it down. So what are we instructed to do? The first part will be written in past perfect tense and the second part will be written in past indefinite tense. And we all know the structure of past perfect tense. Subject plus had plus past participle form of verb. Okay? So the answer will be Farhana had reached school before, and the next one will be in past indefinite tense, subject and V2 form of verb and extension or object. So the bell rang. Farhana had reached school before the bell rang. The next one. It rained before I reached home. It had rained before I reached home. The next one. The teacher entered the classroom before we enter. So the first part in past perfect tense. The teacher had entered the classroom before we entered. That's it. The doctor came before the patient died. From our childhood, we are actually changing or we are correcting this sentence, isn't it? Okay, let's do it again. The doctor had come before the patient died. Rule number 13. If we have two sentences joined by after, then the first part will be past indefinite tense and the second part will be past perfect tense. Okay, let's apply it. Farhana reached school after the bell ring. So what are we instructed to do? Yes, we are instructed to do the first part in past indefinite tense and the second part in past perfect tense. The first part will be written in past indefinite tense and the second part will be written in past perfect tense. So dear boys, we all know the structure of past perfect tense: subject plus be2 form of verb and object or extension, and then the structure of past perfect tense is subject, had, be3 form and object or extension. So Farhana reached school after the bell had rang. Okay. It rained after I reached home. Okay. It rained after I had reached home. The teacher entered the classroom after we entered. The teacher entered the classroom after we had entered. The next one. The doctor came after the patient died. Die. The doctor came after the patient had died. Right. Now move. Okay. So rule number 14. This is about if clause. If we have present indefinite in the first clause and we have to write down future indefinite as the second clause. Right, dear boys? If we have if clause and the first clause in present indefinite tense, then we have to write down the second clause in future indefinite tense. For example, if you run in the rain, you catch cold. So dear boys, what are we instructed to do? We are instructed to write down future indefinite tense. If we have the first clause in present indefinite tense, our second clause will be in future indefinite tense. Okay? So if you run in the rain, you catch cold. If you run in the rain, you will catch cold. If you come, I go with you. If you come, I will go with you. If he works hard, he prosper in life. Okay? You see, if he works hard, this is in present indefinite tense. So the second clause will be in future indefinite tense. If he works hard, he will prosper in life. Next. So here we have clause again, if clause. So here we have if plus past indefinite. If we have if plus past indefinite as our first clause, then our second clause will be written as subject, might or could, would, should, then verb. Okay? If Farhana liked me, I give her all I have. So, very easy. If Farhana liked me, what are we instructed to do? We are instructed to write down would or should or could or might here. So we will write down, if Farhana liked me, I would give her all I have. Next, if Abid win the lottery, he would buy a luxurious apartment. Okay? If Abid, the first clause will be in past indefinite tense. Okay? So we can write down, if Abid won the lottery, he would buy a luxurious apartment. Next, Ruby would get the job if she, and so here we have would. So this verb is going to past form. Ruby would get the job if she applied. Okay? If I had money, this is another case. If I had money, I could give you. So the answer will be, if I had money, I could give you. Right. So these rules are not only for right form of verbs. This will be helpful for you in completing sentence also. Rule 16. So here we have if clause. If plus past perfect. If you have if plus past perfect in first clause, then you have to write down subject plus would have, could have or might have plus V3 in the second part of your sentence. If you have if plus past perfect in your first clause, then you have to write down subject plus would have, could have or might have plus B3 as the second part of your sentence. So let's try to write it down. If he had started earlier, you see, he had started earlier. This is past perfect tense. Okay, so we are going to write down if he had started earlier, he would have caught the train. Okay, would have caught the train, B3. Next one. The accident would not have occurred if you drive carefully. So dear boys, so this second part has moved here as the past part of the sentence. So you have to write down if you had driven carefully. Okay, the accident would not have occurred if you had driven carefully. If he had studied regularly, he passed the exam. Again, we are going to write down if he had studied regularly, he would have passed the exam. Okay. The next rule. If the sentence start with this structure, head plus subject plus past participle form, then you have to write down subject would have, could have, might have plus B3 as the second part of your sentence. So dear boys, let's try to write it down. Had I been a billionaire, I helped the poor. So had I been a billionaire. So this is the starting of the sentence. Had plus subject plus past participle form. You see been. The past participle form of the verb be is been. Had I been a billionaire, I could have helped the poor. Okay. Had I been a billionaire, I would have helped the poor. Okay. Had he come, I go with him. Had he come, I would have gone with him. Okay. Had I gone there, I know the matter. Had I gone there, I would have known the matter. Okay. Let's move to the next part. So if we have some words in our present indefinite or present perfect tense, just like if, unless, until, as soon as long as, or before, or when, then we have to write down the second part of this sentence in future indefinite tense. I'm repeating again, dear boys. If we have present indefinite tense or present perfect tense and we have some word like if, you, unless, until, as soon as long as, or before or when, then the second part of this sentence is going to be future indefinite tense. Okay, let's try to write it down. I will wait until he. I will wait until he. So here we have until and we have future indefinite tense as the first part of the sentence. So we have to write down the second part in present indefinite tense or present perfect tense. I will wait until he comes back. Got it? She will go home when she finished the work. Again, the second part has come as the first part. She will go home. So this is future indefinite tense. So the next part is going to be present indefinite tense or present perfect tense. Okay, as we have when here, right? She will go home when she has finished the work. I will call you as soon as I get the news. I will call you as soon as I get the news. Okay, move to the next part. To mean continuity and to mean the work started before and still this work is going on. We use present perfect continuous tense. Okay? I read for 3 hours. Okay? The work has started before and still this work is going on. I have been reading for 3 hours. And what is the structure of present perfect continuous tense? Subject have been or has been, verb plus ing, then object or extension. So here you see, I have been reading for 3 hours. Next, okay. It rained since morning. Okay. It has been raining since morning. Next, we are living here for 4 years. Okay, say we have been living here for 4 years. Okay. The last rule of this lesson. So we are using for and since in our present perfect continuous tense. So when to use since and when to use for. To indicate undefined time, duration of time or period of time, we use for. For example, for 3 hours, 4 hours, or for 5 months, 6 months. But to mean defined time, I mean beginning of time or point of time, we use since. For example, since 1990, since 2010. Okay, to indicate the specific time or defined time, we use since. Very easy, you all know about that. Rashid worked in the foreign since 2004. Okay, we can write down Rashid has been working in the foreign since 2004, as this time is very specific and defined time. As we are talking about very specific and defined time, we have to use since. Next, we have been living in Dhaka since or for in 2002, as we are talking about very defined time, and we have to use since. Okay, we have been living in Dhaka since 2002. Dear boys, that's all about today's lesson. Keep responding. When you respond to my class, I am being inspired. So take care. Thanks to you all.